Okay, that was just horrible. That feeling was so painful. It's just like constantly going around in my head. So, hold on, I sound crazy. What's up, y'all? I want to do a series of videos where I kind of recount the events that took place this summer with the uprising and everything that went down, because literally it was so crazy. And looking back, it's still pretty vivid in my memory, but I'm somebody that journals like every day. I didn't journal very consistently during this time. I have a few entries here and there, but pretty much I was outside all day every day for like 3 weeks, and this was a huge thing to experience. Like, there was so much happening. So much happened.
So much happened.
I really want to remember it. I feel like the events that happened this summer is without a doubt going to be in history books. It was just crazy, and I don't want to lose that over time. Like, I want to talk about them while they're still fresh. Even now, the details get very fuzzy for me, so right now, while it's kind of fresh in my head, I've been thinking about this kind of all day. I'm just gonna record and see what comes out. But I'm not gonna try and cover the whole thing right now because I don't think I have time like that. I gotta go to work in a little while. That shit was crazy. Okay, let's get into it. Also, side note, I'm smiling through all this because that's my coping mechanism. Just to like, cause it's ridiculous, but it was very heavy stuff, you know, and it's not like I'm making light of it. It's just, damn, you really went through that? You ain't never just went through that. What? But that shit was crazy. So, like I said, I'm somebody that journals pretty much every day. Very consistently, I journal and I like to write, you know, what's going on. And it started on, this is Tuesday, May 26th. This is the day after George Floyd was murdered. May 25th, it was like in the evening, and this was the next morning, or next afternoon, at 1:26 p.m. I found out the morning of the 26th what happened, and I had to be at work at 3. That shit happened. 38th in Chicago is within walking distance from my house, and it just didn't sit right with me. It just really impacted me, and I was sitting with that whole morning. So I decided that before I went to work, I was gonna go pay my respects up at 38th in Chicago, because people had been gathering there throughout the morning and holding that space. So I rode my bike up there for a little while before work. I drew some chalk on the sidewalk. I have a picture of that. I will insert it here. And I just held space, and this is where I wrote this entry. This was 1:26 p.m. I write timestamps when I write, so I wrote, another black man killed in my city, George Floyd. He couldn't breathe, but they kept their knee on his neck. My brother, uncle, cousin, father couldn't breathe, and they murdered him. Today I honor him. I'm sitting on the corner of 38th in Chicago to hold space for this man who was killed in cold blood by Minneapolis Police Department. Here we go again. No justice, no peace. So I wrote that. I was sitting at the corner up there, and I just held space for a little while until I had to go to work. On my back to work, I think I got out a little bit early. I was supposed to get out at 9, but there was not a curfew that night. I forget what the situation was, but I got out of work early, and I got out probably around 7, I want to say. There had been a protest at the memorial site, 38th in Chicago. The people holding space there marched to Lake Street. And like I said, 38th in Chicago is within walking distance from my house. And so is 4th Precinct, which is Lake Street, the one that got burned down. So in order for the protesters to march to Lake Street, they had to pass pretty much right by my house. By the time I got off work, I dashed home, changed real quick. I remember I was wearing jean shorts and a hands up don't shoot t-shirt, and then I brought a little windbreaker and a little tiny backpack and some running shoes. I'm very familiar with how protests go, but at the same time, I didn't expect this one to kick off the way it did, and as quickly as it did, and as big as it did. So I was prepared, but I was not at the same time. But by the time I quickly ran home and got ready, the march was coming pretty much past my house, like down one block. I rode my bike this whole time. I got on my bike and I rode down to meet them. I knew of some people that was going to be out there, but I was going by myself. I wasn't going with a group of people. Not smart. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't be like me. But like I said, I have a lot of experience with protests, so I'm always like, I'm good. It was not a good idea that night, just because of how bad it got. I saw some people, I said hey to some people, but pretty much for the whole night I was by myself. We marched up 23rd down Hiawatha all the way to 4th Precinct on Lake. That was where the protest started. The police at the precinct were not ready. They, surrounded the precinct and was trying to hold it. But it was a lot of people that came out. It got cracking really fast. I'm not gonna lie. I was riding my bike around. The police was around the precinct, kind of surrounding it to protect it or whatever. And people was kind of, talking back and forth to the police, taunting them and stuff. People started throwing rocks. People went around the back, got the gates loose so that people could get in. And people started, it got really crazy. It got really crazy. People started breaking glass, like the windows, and I went around all nosy to go look, and then pretty quick they started throwing projectiles. It started with the flashbangs and tear gas. Tear gas pretty much flooded in towards everyone. Everybody had to retreat. I was on my bike. I fell off my bike because people were running. I couldn't get on it in time. Pretty much like a stampede back, and it kind of went like that for the whole night in cycles of people would storm forward, boom 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 boom, hit the precinct, and then they would get pushed back, and then back and forth all night. And pretty quickly, they suited and booted up the police with their little riot gear and stuff. People held their ground. Oh, it gives me chills thinking about it. Like, it makes me want to cry. It just gives you chills, like, to watch people, like, be so fed up and so angry and just... I can't even articulate exactly what it looked or felt like. Everybody around me was just so angry, and so rightfully so. And we're not going to get pushed around. People stood their ground all night. Here's the thing about this night. This night was hell because nobody was really prepared. Not really. Nobody really expected it to get that cracking that quick, but people were ready anyway to, like, if they were out there, they was gonna be there. Okay, then it started raining. And it was cold. It was nighttime. It started raining. I was in a t-shirt and little tiny shorts. I had no umbrella. I was all night shivering. And I had my bike. But I was committed to being there. You know what I mean? So I was riding around. Again, I was by myself, riding around on my bike. They was aiming at me. I seen this one cop, like, point to me, and then the one next to him shot at my bike, and it landed at my feet and it hit my foot, but it didn't, like, hurt that bad. And then another time, somebody on the roof hit me. Yeah, that's the day I got hit in my shoulder with a it was a rubber bullet. And here's the thing about rubber bullets. If you had never seen a rubber bullet, if you never got hit by a rubber bullet, you probably don't understand. That shit hurts. Rubber bullets are not no Nerf gun pellets, okay? They're not non-lethal projectiles. They're less lethal. Because if you get hit in the right place, you could die. I watched somebody get hit in the throat. I watched this little girl. She was in her, like, mid-teens. And I watched her get hit in the chest, back to back. And these things are, like, this big. From far away. They're not supposed to be aimed at people, right? They're supposed to be aimed at the ground so that they hit the ground with their force and then bounce up and hit you. It's not supposed to come in contact with human skin. Anyway, I got hit in the shoulder that night because I was walking with my bike, running across the street because they had started shooting again. I got hit in the shoulder. I kind of fell out because I wasn't expecting the pain. They hurt. Oh, somebody lost their eye, I know that. I think at that point they had raided the liquor store. It was just a lot going on in a lot of different areas. It was a lot more spread out that initial night because the people really had the power pretty much that initial night. It was something really crazy. At one point, I had been taking shelter from the projectiles in this bus shelter. The bus shelter directly across and diagonal from the precinct on the side of Target. And this is where people had built up a barricade of Target shopping carts. So it's a glass bus shelter. I was in there. Unicorn Riot guy, Nico, if you know him, he was in there too, and a bunch of people just talking. I was cold. I was trying to take shelter and just standing around with some people. And they started shooting at the bus shelter, and the glass broke. The glass hit my ankle and shit. This was a little earlier because traffic was still coming through at that point. They had blocked in a semi right there to kind of block and barricade that bus shelter, and then built around it with shopping carts from Target. That same night, Target, I think, got hit too. People over property, period, end of story. That's how I feel about it. It was a crazy night. This was just day one. I stayed out until a little after 12, it was probably 12:45. It had been raining all evening. I was so freezing cold. I was soaked to the bone. And I still had to bike home. Every day is so packed. The next day was the most wild. There was a lot going on. But this was one, for me personally, one of the most wild days because this was the day I got maced. So day two, I was ready pretty much. As soon as I woke up, I was planning to go right back out. And this time my friends was trying to come with me because they were like, how in the fuck did you just go out in that alone last night? Some of my friends came with me, but I still did not dress exactly prepared. Actually, I didn't dress any more prepared than I did the day before. Also wasn't really expecting it to get like that again, or get as bad as it did. So I didn't quite dress as prepared as I should have. I think I went to 38th Chicago first again, paid some respects, brought some little offerings. I made a poster to bring to the offering. I biked it up there, and then I biked back to the spot at 4th Precinct on Lake. People were also still there, and that was more of a protest space. The other one was more just holding communal space and kind of offerings. It was very peaceful, which is great. Not what I was looking for. I needed to be in direct action, so I went to the precinct. My friends met me up there. I saw some other people. This was earlier afternoon, but pretty much as soon as I got there, they was on that, the police. They was on that. Within like 30 minutes of us being there, both me and my friend Helen got shot. Me in the back of my thigh. I will also insert a picture of that here because that bruise was gnarly. She got shot in the ankle and was bleeding like within 30 minutes of daylight. Snipers on the roof. I think I still have all these Snapchats, and like I will insert them where they come in, and then it did the same cycle where it would kind of ebb and flow. Like the people would surge forward, get shot at, tear gas, flashbangs, rubber bullets, boom, 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 get pushed back, and then come back when it would wane out. That was kind of the motto every night of, like, people versus police. That's kind of what it looked like until they got more strategic with it. And then nightfall, it got a little heavier. They had pushed us, okay, so the precinct, it's an intersection that goes 4 ways. Somehow, the police, they came even more forcefully. They like had reinforcements or something. And at some point in the evening, they had came out, and they had horses at this point, and they came out from the precinct to push people back, and they separated into, I think, 3 groups. So there was one at this intersection, one at this intersection, and one at this intersection, and they was in the middle pushing us through separate roads in the intersection, if that makes sense. So me and my friends were at this one. We're at one of the crossroads where they had blocked us off from the other people, so separating people into 3 smaller groups made us more vulnerable. So they came out with horses. There was like 6 horses on the side that we were getting blocked in at, and cops on them. So there's a line of cops. I also have a picture of this that I will insert. There was a line of cops standing in front of us with their sticks and their mace out, and I was in the front, and I was sitting down, and a couple others was sitting down. We were trying to demonstrate. We wasn't doing nothing. It was just sitting peacefully. And we sat like that for a while, apparently until they got orders to push us back even further. They got out their sticks, and the horses came around like the side, basically trying to herd us back away from the precinct, herding us back. Again, I was in the front, and I was sitting down, so I had to stand up. I stood up because they were coming toward us with the sticks, trying to push us back, and people were trying to stand their ground a little bit, but they was coming. I was to the side, closest to the edge, with the horses on them. So I stood up. They're coming towards me. A female cop. They're all like suited up, like helmets, gas masks, riot gear, everything, but I could see a little of her face through her mask. And she's coming towards me. She's the one directly in front of me. She's coming towards me, and I get up and I turn around, like my back towards her, because I'm trying to go a little bit. And she grabs my backpack all rough and shoves me. And I turn around. I was like, who are you pushing? Because, okay, it made me mad. Like, she just shoved me. I was not doing nothing, okay? I was trying to go. And she just roughly, I didn't even do nothing. I just turned around because I really forgot where I was. She just made me mad. I was just like, who is you shoving? I forgot that she had weapons in her hand. She shouldn't have shoved me, okay? She just raised her mace and right in my eye, right here. This is where I still have a scar from it. You can't see it as well on camera, but I have a picture, of course, of that too when it was more fresher. But it came out to be like a V right here under my eye. It was an acid burn, and I got acid burn on my ear and on the side of my face because she sprayed me point blank range about this far from my face in the eye with mace. And it got all over my face, all over my body. My body was burning because I fell on the ground after she did that. I turned around and she shoved me on the ground and maced my entire face and my body. I have fell down. I couldn't get up. I couldn't move, and she was still spraying me. So I just sustained the spray like for a good little minute. My friends got sprayed too because they came in to literally pick me up and carry me away from where she was spraying me, and they got sprayed too. So my friend's going through it. I'm going through it. I was screaming, like hysterically screaming, because if you've ever been maced, here's the thing. A lot of people use mace and tear gas interchangeably. They're very different. Tear gas comes in a canister that explodes and then emits a gas that makes it literally hard to see, and it stings to breathe, which is why you have to pour milk in your eyes and stuff. It's like, it's a gas. And it kind of is similar to like really, really, really heavy, like cutting onions, like that sensation, but like times 10, where you just, all you can do is cry and it hurts, and then, but also in your breathing it hurts, and it just, it hurts. Mace is like fire. Mace is just liquid fire. That's what it is. It's literally capsaicin, which is what comes from peppers, like what makes them spicy. and it's just concentrated into a liquid and sprayed onto you, and all it does is burn. And it can literally burn you. Like what I said, I got an acid burn and my skin peeled off, like, and left a scar. You know what I mean? My eye was swollen for a good 2 days. It was probably the worst pain I ever been through. It felt like I was literally got lit on fire. And I have a decent pain tolerance. It's definitely not very weak. But that pain, sis, when I tell you, I was ready to meet my maker. I was like, Jesus, take the wheel. I could not see. I didn't know where I was. If my friends weren't there, I would have been in the hospital, period. Because I would have got trampled by the horses. They was on their way. I would have still been gotten sprayed. They would have picked me up, put me in the paddy wagon. I would have been sitting. It hurt for so long. It didn't even go away that night. It was stinging for days. If I had to sit up in jail or whatever they was trying to take me to without treatment, okay, that was just horrible. That feeling was so painful. So basically my friends took me and they literally carried me. Meanwhile, they had gotten sprayed a bit. I don't think it was as severe because I was the one getting sprayed and they got kind of splashed in the midst of trying to come in. They was able to function, but they was still in pain too. So they literally carried me to a cut where thankfully this street medic came and helped me and my friends and put milk of magnesia in our eyes, you know, tried her best to treat us. We call our other friend to quickly come and pull up in the car and pick us up because we could not be out there no more. Thank goodness to my friends, because I had still had my bike and I had to lock it up, and they literally came, picked us up, and went back for my bike. Thank God for them. I literally, without my friends, I would not have made it through that night if I had gone alone, which is why I say don't go alone. I'm just thankful that I had people that second night, because I don't know where I would be otherwise. I had a live that I did that night, and this was after I got treated by the medic and after finally my friend that I just talked about came in, picked us up. So I'll insert some clips from that right here.
They pushed her on the ground and then continuously fucking sprayed her.
Maced my shit hard as fuck.
She was on the ground and could not get up. I had to come and fucking pick her up off the ground and pull her away.
My shit burns. That shit fucking burns like a bitch. Oh God, I can't feel my body. My skin burns. Fuck. But yeah, that was night 2. Night 3 is when the 4th precinct actually burned down. And what else burned down? The AutoZone. Thursday was the night that everything burned down. That part I'm really gonna have to come back to, because like I said at the beginning of this video, I kind of want this to be a series because it's just too much for one video. This video will be hours long if I try to condense it all into one. So that was day 1 and day 2, and this is gonna be part 1. I will be back with part 2, which it gets pretty real. It just got really critical really fast. It's just a lot to reflect on. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy at least listening to these stories. I know I just need to get them out. I want to be able to look back on this years later and, you know, be able to fully remember everything that I experienced, because you can't make this shit up. Okay, so I'm back in my car because nothing if I'm not consistent. But it is the next day. I just want to come back and add a bit of a better outro and just say that all the stories that I'm going to tell are my stories and my stories alone. It's not possible for me to tell everything just because I really can't remember everything. I also want to be mindful of sharing stories that intersect very personally with other people. I don't want to get too in-depth with sharing other people's stories because that's not my place. Stories that I told in this video and that I will tell in the next couple videos are my stories, my experiences. I'm trying to corroborate as many of them as I can with the videos and photos that I have. These videos are in part to share and tell these stories, but also in part for me to look back on because just a lot happened and I want to, make record of these events while I can, while I still remember them, while I still have access to the videos and photos and all of that. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like it, share it, subscribe to this channel. I do want to eventually post other content as well, so stay tuned for that. Hopefully that works out. Stay tuned for part 2. Like, comment, subscribe. You know the drill. Boom. Thank you.